Views and opinions expressed by podcast host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official positions, policies, or views of the company, its affiliates, customers, or partners. You do not have to be the original contractor to identify and correct existing attic ventilation mistakes for a roof you did not originally install. Yes, it likely means more work. Yes, it will likely increase the price of the project, but many contractors see this as an opportunity, not a problem, and it's the right thing to do for the customer. Hi there, welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Airing It Out with AirVent. My name is pscelsi. I host AirVent's Attic Ventilation Ask the Expert seminars offered every winter to residential roofing professionals all across North America since 1998. Gary Muehling, president of MI Remodelers, that's Michigan Remodelers, based in Orion Township, just outside of Detroit, has been excited to be a guest on our podcast for some time. He's a regular attendee of our seminar when it swings through the Detroit area, and I'm pleased to announce he is our guest today. Welcome to the podcast, Gary.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of AirVent, and I love everything that you guys do.
Gary, very kind of you. Thank you very much. Hey, Gary, preparing for this episode, in conversation with you, you suggested to me the topic of common attic ventilation mistakes you see, you and your team, in the field and the fixes that you make. You've identified a few for us. Let's start, please, with the first attic ventilation mistake you often see, Gary.
Absolutely. So homeowners are all trying to make their homes more energy efficient, and the low-hanging fruit is to insulate low-performing attics. So home improvement contractors that do attic insulation have blowing equipment and are able to blow insulation in, but sometimes blowing in insulation does more bad than good. So yes, you want your attic to perform according to the code, which the R value in our area of Michigan is R38, but airflow is essential in an attic space. And so these insulation contractors that blow in insulation sometimes cover intake ventilation, and sometimes they miss attic baffling inside. So we had a wonderful customer that had a project completed, and they didn't feel an improvement in the way their home heated and cooled. They felt it get much worse, considerably worse. So I was invited out to inspect, and I cannot ever remember in all my years being in an attic that was that hot.
Wow.
My normal 10-minute attic inspection, I had to cut it down to about 5 minutes because I could hardly bear being up there. Every single soffit was completely blocked with insulation, meaning that the intake airflow was zero. So this homeowner had a 20-some-year-old roof, had a ridge vent exhaust system, which probably was working just fine with the soffit ventilation that they had until the insulation contractor came in and messed it all up. This roof was a low pitch, and so there's limited access to the soffits from the inside, and clearing those obstructions involved replacing his roof, replacing a lot of wood, cleaning moisture impacted rafters from all the heat and moisture buildup. And the homeowner said that it was cooler in his house after the insulation was removed than it was when the insulation was present.
Go figure. Gary, two things. Thank you for that excellent example. You just identified the number one mistake, unfortunately, in attic ventilation across the country by our research, and that is overlooking proper intake, whether that means not having enough intake, letting the insulation block the intake, which is the case that you uncovered. Thank you for sharing that. I also want to let the listener know who might not be familiar when Gary mentions R value, attic insulation comes with an R value, the efficiency level of the insulation. Depending on where you are, what your zip code is, there's a map on the internet that says your insulation level must be a certain R number. And that's what we're referring to there. Gary, great opening mistake example to start us off with. And I love the fix that your team executed. Gary, what is the second example attic ventilation mistake that your team has uncovered and fixed?
We work in a lot of mature neighborhoods, and so older homes, of course, don't meet the now current codes. They hadn't been thought of yet. So it's a new concept to have bathroom venting exhaust outside of the home and attic. Many bathrooms don't have any type of exhaust ventilation. Homes are sealed significantly tighter than they used to be. And so there's a greater need for the ductwork to take that moisture, motorized ductwork, to take that moisture outside of the attic. When a homeowner installs their own bath fan, they have a huge heart and they have good intentions. And I'm so grateful that they're taking steps toward improving the way the home manages moisture. But distributing that hot, moist air into the attic can cause really expensive problems, especially in the wintertime when that hot air condensates. Mm-hmm. So we buy in large quantity 4 and 5 inch insulated ductwork and those rooftop louvers so that we can improve the humidity. And it should be dry as a cracker in there.
Gary, I like your word mature homes for describing older homes. I love that. Very good. Gary, another excellent example. We had the fortune of having a past guest like you, or a guest right now, discussing exclusively what he sees as a home inspector in Ohio, and bath fan incorrect venting dominated that episode. Yeah, Gary, good call. Good intentions. Let's get that moisture out of the attic directly to the outdoors. Nice one, Gary. Nice one. Gary, what is the next attic ventilation mistake example that you can share with us, please?
All right. Well, I saved the best for last. I'm going to use a curse word here, bungalow.
Bungalow
Configured homes. I say that people take attic space and then they finish it for living space. And doing this creates a very difficult challenge to proper ventilate. There are different approaches to how to proper ventilate. Some people would divide those attics separately and resolve them individually. Whenever I have the opportunity, my favorite way is to actually combine and connect those spaces. And I've used a number of different methods for that. But one way or another, creating intake from the bottom, having a pathway to take that air all the way up so that a proper exhaust vent at the top, hopefully ridge vent, can take that moisture out.
I like it.
So unfortunately, bungalows struggle to ventilate because there are areas that are inaccessible and each one is a little different. We call them pocket attics, and oftentimes we will insulate the underside of the roof instead of the floor and the backside in those pocket attics.
Okay.
And whether we're removing the plaster on the inside or the roof decking from the outside, we like to install continuous baffling so that the bottom pocket attic reaches through the vaulted section all the way up to that tiny little open attic in the peak.
Sure.
These are attics that have been breathing improperly for years. And oftentimes we see evidence that roofers have made an attempt to improve it. Sometimes they'll add can vents next to the ridge vent or do other felonious activities to try and improve the airflow. And they're good intention, but the science behind it is actually, you've taught me, it's actually pretty basic. Airflow in from the bottom all the way up and out from the top.
Yes. Yes.
So one thing that we do different and we love to help homeowners with is when we see moisture impacted attics, there's often critters or evidence of critters up there because they're attracted to that moist, humid air. And of course, mold and mildew can grow where moisture is trapped. So what we do different than a lot of roofers is we offer to clean and remediate those spaces before we close them back up.
Nice. That's a nice additional service. Yes. Yeah. Gary, you mentioned ridge vents and box vent on the same roof, and that is a no-no. We don't like to mix types of exhaust. It short circuits the airflow. Pick only one type of exhaust, best suited for the roof shape. Thank you for that, Gary. I also want to revisit the word baffle, just in case a listener might not be familiar. When we're talking about insulation baffles, it's a piece of material that reserves a path for the air to make it past the insulation to the exhaust vent without being hindered or blocked by the attic insulation. That's what we mean by baffling. Gary, 3 interesting and distinct examples. Thank you for sharing those. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Gary, do you have any additional tidbits or information you'd like to share, whether it's fixing attic ventilation or really wide open, anything at all you'd like to share?
Absolutely. Well, my background is in roofing. I'm previously a member of the Professional Roofers Advisory Council for Certainteed. And so I've had the opportunity to actually sit with engineers and redevelop the install instructions for some ventilation products. And what I've found is that where most roofers get it wrong is they see an existing vent and they replace the existing vent. They don't design a new system. They don't do the calculations. And to me, it's 1 hour or less of effort to inspect, calculate, and make the proper recommendations. And so it's a lack of diligence that I witness companies of all different sizes and structures. And so for that reason, I have built my whole career on being an attic and a ventilation professional. And so today my company does more than just roofing, and we include attic inspections as a courtesy. And we've helped hundreds of homeowners that were looking to remodel learn about what's going on in the spaces that are not seen and aren't so obvious. And it helps homeowners reprioritize and regroup in what order they do renovations. Because if you were to invest $100,000 in a new kitchen, I'm sure that it will be stunning. But if you have situations in there in the attic that are a problem, you'd want to know about that before you start picking custom cabinets.
Yes, yes. Boy, Gary, I love what you just said. In our seminars, as you know, we try to relay what folks like you tell us, and we relay it in every city. Yes, you're not the original roofer. You're being hired today to get involved, and you had no part of the original ventilation. But just take a pause and own it, and just evaluate if what's up there is wrong. Get it corrected. Anyway, I love that, Gary. I'm really pleased to hear you've been able to build your business around that thought process.
And you've been essential for me along the years in learning and improving. And I'm so grateful for all of your help. Just one more little thing that's fresh on my mind.
Yes.
In the past 80 years, the composition of shingles has changed wildly. And so shingles used to contain asbestos, and a roof could have, I've seen 0 vents, and the shingles stay structurally intact. Over the years, we've learned asbestos is an ingredient that doesn't belong in shingles, so they've revised the mix. Now that shingles don't have that material that handles heat well, better ventilation has been essential. And then we have seen the composition of shingles change from what used to be, I hear, around 80% asphalt to closer to 20 or 30% asphalt. So as the shingle manufacturers change their blend, which I hear they don't publish, they count on research and development to revise and improve the process. And so they continue to require more ventilation as they upgrade and change the shingle warranty and the composition.
Interesting. Thank you,
So it's never
Gary.
been so important to get your attic inspected and to get your insulation and your ventilation resolved, not just your roof replaced.
Gary, boy, thank you very much for being our guest today and all of the insights, especially these additional insights, sharing what you see in the field. I want to thank you for participating in the AirVent seminar over the years. And on behalf of AirVent and all of our listeners, thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Paul.
Identifying existing attic ventilation mistakes, whether or not you are the original contractor, no doubt complicates and slows down the project a bit, but it's an opportunity many contractors welcome, and it's the right thing to do for the customer. Well, that wraps up this episode. Please leave a review on YouTube or whatever platform you used to listen to this episode. Be sure to let us know that there's a topic you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Maybe you'd like to be a guest one day, like Gary was a guest, or maybe you know someone who would make a great guest. Drop us a note on the podcast page of our website, GibraltarBuildingProducts.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. And please come back for more Airing It Out with AirVent. I'm Paul Pscelsi. Thanks for listening.